PD, but I'm so happy to be presenting this to you. This is a wonderful tool that I'm very passionate about. My name is Glenda Guzman. Currently I am a instructional specialist at Aldine ISD. I'm a former Fort Bend AFT president, and I am a national trainer with AFT. I'm a national trainer for the ELL module. And so I work really closely with the national AFT and with Texas from time to time, presenting on different topics, all related usually to ELLs and different strategies and tools that you can use. This is one of my favorite tools. This is around Colorín Colorado. The creator of Colorín Colorado is Giselle Ponce Lunde, who is my mentor. And I have had the privilege and the honor of being able to contribute to this website. And it has just really grown. And it is a wonderful tool for you to use, especially for new teachers, but also for seasoned teachers. You'll find a multitude of information on here. And so I'm going to go through this session with you just to give you a lot of information and a lot of new tools that have come out of this tool. So before we start, I'd like to know what you know about Colorín Colorado. Let's see, we have a poll. See if we can get in here into the poll session here. Miss Claudia, can you
Sure. Is it the poll on slide 2?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
On slide 2. So I just want to see a little bit of what you know about Colorín Colorado. Get out of this and go into the gallery. Ah, okay. Awesome. Okay, so for those of you who haven't used it, you are in for a treat. And for those of you who haven't been in for a long time, you are also in for a treat because there's been so many changes, wonderful changes to this program. So I'm going to stop and share just to make sure that we are sharing the right thing because I don't want to. I want to make sure that we're doing the right thing here. There we go. I'm going to slide 1. Okay, so Colorín Colorado is a website based on that provides tons of resources for our ELL families, for ELL learners. Originally, it was created to support families of EBs. I'm going to stop saying ELLs. When I say ELLs, I mean EBs, is that we use that interchangeably. So this was originally designed to facilitate support and resources for families of EBs. And it just kind of blossomed into something really, really big. You'll see all kinds of resources and videos, all kinds of resources that you'll be able to use as it for not only yourself, but for your families, for other colleagues, for administrators, and just about anybody that has anything to do with EBs at all. So Colorín Colorado is currently serving over 3 million people. So we've had 3 million people visit, or more than 300 million people visit the site. The site was originally created in a partnership with PBS stations in Washington, D.C. And it had just kind of blossomed from there. There have been collaborations between that and other entities, and AFT was the creating partner in this project, and it's just blossomed from there. Go this way. There we go. There we go. So what I want to do is just show you a little bit, a little video from my colleagues, Becky course, Aurelie Slitter, I'm sorry, what's her name? Well, Adelie's right here. And Susan LaFawn. Slitherhorn is, I believe, is Adelie's last name. Sometimes I can't pronounce her name. But these are colleagues of mine that have contributed to this. You'll find a lot of videos from Adelie and from Susan. And I've had the privilege of contributing with them on some of these projects. And so I want you to hear from them what the program is about.
You know the most exciting thing about life? It's how you can change it. You can move to new cities, meet new people, take on new challenges.
There we go.
It's really a one-stop shopping. It's one place to go to find so much information. There's articles, there's professional development, training ideas. There's downloads, there's resource kits, toolkits, advice for parents, for teachers, for administrators. There's just so much information.
And it really helps to build partnerships between schools and families.
It was all my children want to, right?
Yeah.
Resources from Colorín, Colorado to support families at home. And teachers can also, and administrators, anyone who's involved with teaching English learners can use it as a jumping off point for further discussion about how do we involve our English learning families and students.
What I like to add is that it truly does start to represent the students in our classroom, the diversity in our classrooms. I mean, you start to really see that when you go to Colorín, Colorado. And and I thought their efforts, it really is a wonderful site.
All you need is the one website, www.colorincolorado.org.
Yeah, we do our Colorín, Colorado dance.
Okay, so that kind of gave you an overview of what Colorín Colorado is about. And the people who use it are educators, administrators, school counselors, parent coordinators, librarians, higher educational faculty, PD trainers like myself, and families. There's a whole section devoted just to families and in Spanish. It's completely translated into Spanish. So it really, as it began as a parental support, it really blossomed into something bigger. And there are tons of information on everything related or semi-related to ELLs. Everything from strategies that you can use in the classroom all the way to what to do with an adopted child that is an ELL as well. So just a multitude of things that you can think of, some of the things you can't even think of. Here. So how can you use the website? Well, there are plenty of resources in the website having to do with co-teaching. Obviously, there's lots of professional development from videos all the way to professional development books and professional classroom videos, videos of experts in the field, and articles from experts in the field, lots of research-based articles. So you'll see a lot of that information in there. Information about PLC time and what you can do during that time, how to facilitate those kind of things. Lots of parental engagement. Obviously, this was created around parental engagement. And then pre-service information. So some of the times when we are representing this at conventions such as NAVE and other conventions, we'll have professors that come up and say, oh, I use this in my class. Or students will come up and say, oh, I use this in my research. So there really is a multitude of research-based information in here. And it's not just research-based dry material. It is really relevant and practical material that you can use in your classroom. So we're going to start this program kind of on a question and answer basis. So we have a series of questions, 5 questions really, that we have determined are the kind of questions that new teachers or teachers who are new to bilingual education, or maybe they are monolingual teachers, have been in the classroom a long time and they are receiving EBs into their classroom for the first time. So what are some of the questions that those people might ask? So that's kind of the way we're going to frame the session today. So the first thing I'd like to do is our second poll question. Speaking from the perspective of of you in the classroom, what kind of EBs do you have in your classroom? And you can pick more than one, because obviously some of us have way different groups of children in our classroom. So look at the list. There's newcomers, there's EBs with no formal education, there are refugees, there are American-born EBs, there's EBs that are on class level, and then there's long-term EBs. So just pick the number of, or the different kinds of students you may be seeing in your classroom. Okay, so obviously we have teachers that have multiple types of EBs in their classroom. And so what happens there, thank you for participating in that poll. What happens there is that, there we go, there's the results of the poll. And we'll stop sharing that. And we'll go there, okay. What happens is that, well, you know, especially for those of you that this is new to, that having EBs in your classroom is new, you know, where do you start? What do you start to do? Where can you find information that's going to help you with your EBs in the classroom? So we're going to look at some areas in Colorín Colorado that are going to help you with that specific thing. Okay, so the first thing we do to answer that question is, how do we help? Where do we start with our EBs? Well, the first thing is to build relationships. That's the first thing we want to do when we have EBs in the classroom. And now it'd be hard because there are language barriers, there's cultural barriers, there are societal barriers. There are all kinds of things that might keep you from being able to build those relationships, or that you might think will keep you from building those relationships. But Colorín Colorado has a lot of strategies that you can use to help build that. So the first thing, there are some answers here. It says the first thing you need to do is learn their names, learn how to pronounce their names correctly. That goes a long way in helping your EBs feel welcomed in their classroom. Learn about their prior schooling. That not only helps with building that relationship or getting to really know who your student is, but also it's going to help you academically, because then you're going to know exactly where you need to start with your students. And then have just a general atmosphere, welcoming of the cultures and the languages, and really build on the strengths of the students in your classroom. So we're going to go to Colorín Colorado. So this takes us right to a page that's called How to Create a Welcoming Environment for ELLs in the Classroom. So here you'll find all kinds of information related to EBs, the different stages of accommodating EBs in your classroom. So you're going to get some research-based information in there. And then it goes into some of the issues related to EBs. But even there, you'll see these highlighted things, and that takes you to even more information. So I wanted to, well, we'll go to that in just a second, but you'll see that the page will take you to multiple pieces of information that can help you build that environment in your classroom for your EBs. So we're going to go back. I want to hear you. This is a video that's out of Colorín Colorado as well. Lydia Bryseth is the director of Colorín Colorado, and she has tons of videos in there that she facilitates the discussions with on some of these experts, or interviews principals from different schools. And this is one of the ones that she has done. So I wanted to play that for you as well.
I just picked up a few gems from Ulta Beauty at Target that are all $20 and under. The Ordinary's Natural Moisturizing.
We see our students as having gifts. It's not a detriment to speak another language. It's a gift. Some of these these babies are traveling to different countries, having to assimilate in different communities with different family members, with different friends and classrooms. That takes a high level of emotional intelligence, which to me is a gift to be able to do successfully. And I don't think we give our second language learners and our immigrant students enough credit for what they have to do as children. Lord knows I couldn't do it as an adult. So our staff sees these gifts in our students, not just the academic gifts, but the emotional talents. And we try to really reach out and find those gifts and talents. And I'm very proud. One of the things that we do at Miniville is we have a very high number of students found eligible and brought up for eligibility for gifted. And I think that's a place that we want to be. And it just takes a change in perspective of how you see these students. It's not, they're not academic challenged, but these are students of promise. We just have to make sure that we're actively seeing that. We see our students as having gifts.
So that's just one of the videos that you'll see related to creating a welcoming environment in your classroom for EBs in your classroom, all the way from your newcomers all the way to long-term EBs. So this is one of the great new resources in Colorín, Colorado. In the website, you'll have a drop-down menu and it will have related courses. And I'll show that to you in just a second. But something new that they've created just in this last year has been a gallery where you can go and look at specific topics. And in that window, you'll find all kinds of resources related to that one topic. So I wanted to go there and kind of show you what it is. So this is the supporting newcomer resource gallery. This is new, and you can actually filter. Here you can put any kind of topic here: family engagement, getting started, social emotional learning, and it will filter that topic for you. But you'll see within the gallery, well, it starts off with getting started with ELLs, but we're going to hit that in just a moment because I'm going to show you that at the end, how you can get this really quick and easy on your phone, which is amazing. But you'll see 10 strategies for building relationships, how to create a welcoming environment. Just this resource in particular is directed towards newcomers. So if you're new to having newcomers, or if this is a new thing for you, then this is where you're going to find a multitude of information specifically for newcomers. There are other galleries that are more specific to other things, and we're going to get to those in just a second. But while we're here, just let me show you a little bit of how it's set up. So when you'll get to the home page, and you'll see they have featured videos. They'll have some new features that they've just added to the website. There is a blog. There's a section for families. And you can see here also that there is the sponsors, which is AFT, and it's also NEA has joined that association as well. And then you'll find all kinds of information in here. There's book list and everything you can think of. So this is the home page. It's kind of where you start off, but everything you want to find, and I think it's because I have everything open here that it's going a little bit funny for me. Let me just resort to using my finger. You'll see ELL basics, so supporting ELLs. So everything related to basics of ELLs will be there. School support, and that's divided up by different topics like social emotional learning, bilingual and dual language, college readiness, so anything to support the school. Teaching ELLs just in general, strategies of how to teach ELLs and different types of ELLs in your classroom. This one has information that's completely directed towards families, and you'll see topics that will help families. This section here has references to different books and authors related to the different levels of children. So the youth, the young books to middle school kids to even adults. And then here you'll find videos, different kinds of videos, classroom videos. You'll find meeting the authors of different bilingual books. You'll find experts in the field. You'll find videos on all of that. This one's by audience, so you can look all that information up by audience. And then there's a reference library here where you'll find lots of nice toolkits in there. And we're going to go over that in a little bit, but I just wanted to give you an overview of the website for just a second. And then I'm going to show you some other new things that came up. So that's one of the new things. The newcomer library is a new feature for Colorín Colorado, and it is really amazing. Okay, question number 2. We have a lot more ELLs enrolled. How do I prioritize? How do we prioritize? There are so many things. I don't know about your district, but in my district, we have 12 new initiatives. So it's really hard to find ways to prioritize what needs to be done. And at the end of the day, what's most important is what's best for the kids. And so as a teacher of ELLs, and whether you're a bilingual teacher or a monolingual teacher, you more than likely have ELLs in your classroom from one way or another. And so how do you prioritize when you have so many different things coming at you in so many different ways? You have to differentiate. Well, look at the big picture. You know, what questions do your families and your teachers have? So ask your families what they need. Ask the other teachers what they need. If you're the source for your teachers, then be that source. Direct them to this site or other sites or other resources that this site can direct you to. So just really listen to see what they need. And then see if there's any trends or patterns in the way that the children needs are being met or need to be met, or if there's any trends that teachers or administrators need. Sometimes administrators need some guidance as well. So I want to take you back to Colorín Colorado. There is a language and vocabulary development. So this is very specific, having to do with literacy. So in this section here, you will find things around academic language, language acquisition, speaking and listening. So all those things related to language acquisition, you'll find that here in this section. I'm just going to use my finger because it just works better that way. Okay, we'll go back here. Question number 3. Many of our students have experienced trauma. How can we help support them? Well, Colorín Colorado has a multitude of information on trauma-sensitive classrooms and lots of research around that. That's been a hot topic ever since the pandemic. And so Colorín Colorado has listened to the needs of teachers and educators around the country and have come up with a multitude of resources, one of which I've been privileged enough to contribute to. And hopefully when we get to that site, I'll be able to show you that. But some of the ways that you need to help children is to help them feel safe. So how do we do that? We include ELLs in social and emotional learning. We request training in trauma-informed practice. And if they won't give it to you, Colorín Colorado has it. If you can't find it there, you can also find some, well, you will be able to find it there, but there's also, just to put in a plug, you'll also find that and Share My Lesson as well. So just for another reference, you'll find some of that information there too. And then ensure that students have access to support services. And that includes students and their families. And so in Colorín Colorado, you'll find resources that give you exactly that. So you'll see this page, as you can see, I put in here in the search button, I put in trauma. And when I put in trauma, you'll see all kinds of information that supports students living with trauma, addressing student trauma and depression, social and emotional learning. You'll even see books here related to trauma and how to deal with trauma in the classroom. And then you'll have videos as well, specific to trauma from immigrant students, trauma from newcomers, refugees, that kind of thing. So you'll see all of that in there as well. And then you'll see there's a bunch of pages. There's tons of information in there that you'll find. Let's see if we can go to the library. I think that here, and we're going to go here in a second. I just wanted to see if I can find the toolkit. So here you'll see immigrant and refugees. Oops, sorry, that one's not there. Okay, let's go back there. So you'll see all kinds of toolkits and stuff in here too. And we're going to go over that in a little bit more in depth there. But you'll see that there is a multitude of information in here about trauma. And all you have to do is put trauma right here in the search bar. Well, there we go. And so here is a video that I'm going to play the video for you because it's really impactful. Dearborn, Michigan, there's a school in Dearborn, Michigan that has received a multitude of I believe Syrian children that were refugees from Syria. And so they kind of describe how they have dealt with the influx of refugee and immigrant students. And so you'll find this, and this is actually a research project that Colorín, Colorado initiated.
Before starting her new school in Dearborn, Michigan, 12-year-old Nabila was worried.
Because I don't know anyone, I don't know the language they talk, and I think they are going to laugh about me.
New immigrants like Nabila have a lot to cope with when they get to middle school. Many students here have seen terrible things in their home country.
Anytime there was a loud noise, this poor little kindergarten boy would just hit the floor and he would cry because where he came from, there were bombs. You'll notice a lot of the students don't have their moms here.
بس بعدين لما أنا جيت هون أمريكا حسيت إني فارقتهم كلهم وفقدت الأمل.
How do teachers make these kids feel safe so they can learn?
I think if you make that personal connection with those kids, and then they know who to turn to when they need to turn to someone.
Beautiful children, are you ready to learn? Yeah!
The Dearborn Public School District has figured out that intensive professional development in language instruction and culturally responsive practice can make a big difference in helping immigrant students succeed.
It's about good teaching. It's about focused instruction. It's about providing them the kind of environment that they need. Most of all, it's about believing in them.
The Teachers Union has been an important partner in helping these students thrive.
I learned very quickly about the variety of needs for these kids and how important it was to be able to meet them so that they could be successful.
This effort starts from the moment families walk through the front door.
All right, have a super duper Danny. To be the first face that they see, I can immediately see some relief on their faces. They feel like they're in a place that they belong versus yet another strange place.
Brothers Hussein and Yusuf Katie came to America because of the war in their home country of Yemen. Their mother had to stay behind.
I was mad because my mom was still at Yemen and it wasn't that fun and I missed her. I cried all the time. Yusuf, he was saying, oh my God, it was my mom. So he's gonna come. That's hard for him and us too.
When I said, how was it like when you first came to the United States? He said, I was sad. I missed my mom. So I said, really, Yusuf? It's fact, Ms. Al-Haiki, because we are working for Michigan. It's fact.
Yusuf's mom finally did join the family. Now Yusuf is reading above grade level in English.
Kuala thought about the times when her mother
leaving a country, you were born there, your roots are there, it's not easy at all. So when they come here, the minimum we can do, give them this attention, this love, this care. You know, they come every day, they're ready, bright-eyed, they ask 100 questions, and then I know that what I'm doing is so impactful to them.
السلقة بشكل شيء أكثر شخص بحبه في المدرسة هي السلقة وأكثر شيء بحبها من الأكلات عندي البيتزا.
Dearborn is giving children the chance to dream of a happier life. It starts with a simple message.
Dear students, you are important. You are listened to. I support you. You are in a safe place. Love, Miss Al-Haiki.
Love, Ms. Al-Haiki.
So you can see the high quality level of not only research, because this was a project that was initiated by AFT, and you'll see that many of those teachers in there are AFT members, and the project itself, and you can see it's an award-winning film. It's much longer, so that was just a piece of it. If you're interested, you can go on and get a link to the whole video. But I thought it was impactful to see the kind of things that they're doing. You can see the affirmations, you can see the caring, you can see the dealing with the trauma that the teachers have to deal with. So all of that is relevant to what we do as teachers, and especially as we are helping our EBs and their families in the educational process. Because if they don't feel safe, they're not going to learn. And so we have to make sure that we are providing those opportunities and a safe place for them to learn. Let me go on here. Okay, question number 4. Our students' language and literacy backgrounds vary a lot. How should we approach this literacy instruction? Okay, so we can develop language and literacy. So that's one of the things we can do is slow down. I know that's really hard to do in the context of all the things that we're doing during the day and all the things that are being put on us, but it really is important for ELLs for us to slow down. And to use home language as a resource. Really try and learn some words in the student's language. That's very helpful. Again, learning how to pronounce your name correctly it's a huge thing. Use a team approach. It's not just one person that's doing this, it's a team effort. So getting with your ancillary teachers and getting with the administrators, getting with the paraprofessionals, and making sure that everybody's on board with trying to one, making the child feel welcomed and providing resources that they need to make the content accessible to them, and then giving them hands-on learning. Hands-on learning is one way to make that learning accessible. And if you don't have enough there, you can always go to the strategies, page here. So you have ELL strategies and best practices, and you'll find this guide here in that section. When you put in EL strategies in the search bar, you'll find strategies for lesson planning, classroom strategies and tools, background knowledge, how to differentiate, RTI, all of the things that, all of those keywords that you're using in the classroom, you'll find that help here on this page. We're going to go back before we go to the EL strategy page. And so some of the resources are Reading 101 for ELLs. That's one of the websites that's connected. It's a partnership connected to Colorín Colorado. One of the major contributors, Christine Robertson, is one of the authors of the Reading 101 handbook, and you'll find that in there as well. You'll find lots of classroom videos and lots of tip sheets, which I'm about to show you. So here we go, have the guides and tip sheets. I'll move this over here so I can see it. There we go. So if you go to the guides, you'll see ELL Starter Kit for Educators. That is actually a publication that you can get in hard copy, but if you can't get that in hard copy, that's right here. Tip sheets for educators. Toolkits for teachers reaching out to Hispanic parents. So this is how to reach out to your EB parents, engaging all families. 20 strategies for that. Lots of advocacy and policy information, specific information on immigration. There's actually a newcomer toolkit in here. And that is actually from the Department of Education. So I'm just going to click on that for just a second. I think it's really important that you know that this is out there. And it's connected to Colorín Colorado. As a matter of fact, one of our former AFT vice presidents Montserrat Garay, is now, she is part of the Department of Education. She works under the Secretary of Education, Miguel Cordona. And so she has a role in developing this newcomers toolkit. And so this toolkit gives you all kinds of information, and this comes from the federal government. So you'll see that there as well. You'll find that in there. Let me get out of that. Over here. Let me come out of here a second. There we go. All right. So you'll find all kinds of toolkits in there, and in that resource, and that is the far right tab at the top, where you'll find that information. But one of the other cool things that is new to Colorín Colorado is this ELL strategies library. It has more than 25 strategies, and I'm going to open one of these, at least one of these for you, so you can see exactly how those strategies are presented. Because it's really nice because it goes step by step, and I'll show you in just a second. Ideas for differentiation and co-teaching are in here, and you can filter it by the skill. So I'm going to open it up for you. So you'll see the ELL Classroom Strategies Library. That's a little different from the EL Strategies tab, because the tab has all of the articles and resources. This is specific to strategies. And so you can filter by language, a domain, listening, speaking, reading, or writing, the language development, the stage that it's in. Let's see what the tags are. So any kind of content-based area that you're wanting to address, so it's comprehension or assessments or asking questions. So you can filter out by those issues, and then you'll find these strategies, but I'm not going to filter it out. I want you to see everything that's in here. So you'll see accountable talks, that's important, anchor charts, annotated diagrams, comprehension checks, cognates, concept maps, and you'll see that's not it. There's over 25 in the library. And if we had time, we would go through each one of these and kind of look at it. But I do want to show you, let's see, let's do this one, sentence frame starters. So you'll see what the strategy is, the step-by-step instructions on how to utilize the strategy, lessons learned, how to utilize the strategy, how you use it in a co-teaching situation, how it affects language development, and how to differentiate. And then you'll see prompts and different examples of how to utilize the strategy and for different levels. So this is just an amazing new thing that's been added to Colorín Colorado. It just, if they're asking you to integrate more ELL strategies in your classroom, this is the place to go to find it, and it tells you exactly how to use it, and it gives you examples of how to use it. So it's just an amazing new addition to the website. There we go. So you'll see what you'll find in that the strategies toolkit is using visuals and realia, how to use graphic organizers and using different graphic organizers, comprehension checks, sentence frames, and much more. And so one of the examples that you'll find under sentence frames is not only how to use sentence frames, what it is, and examples of that, but then you'll actually have you'll have, in some of the cases, you'll have videos of how you use it, or a teacher's talking about the importance of using it. And so this is one of them, and I'm going to show you this video. And I apologize because I thought I had taken out all the advertising, but I guess it didn't happen.
A sentence frame is something that scaffolds for English language learners. It's actually an entire sentence written out where students only have to fill in parts of information that complete the answer. For example, for drawing conclusions about characters, we used Andrew is blank. I know this because the text says blank. So students might say, Andrew is helpful. I know this because the text says he stopped to help the girl pick up her books. This helps students not worry about expressing their thought in English. That part is taken care of for them. All they have to do is go through to the text and isolate the actual answer and plug it in, so that sort of takes away, they're sort of navigating through two skills there. It isolates one, which is the drawing conclusion part, and lets the English part is done for them. And it also scaffolds their English language development.
So you can see that is,
I was a classroom teacher for,
there we go. That is just one of the examples of one of the helps that are in that specific area for ELL strategies. So those are strategies you can just take and use in your classroom automatically. So question number 5. We haven't connected with many ELL families yet. What can we do differently? So this is the whole reason Colorín Colorado was created. It was really how to reach families and really help support families. So this really is the heart of Colorín Colorado, specifically for EBs, because it is so important to have that connection with families for EBs. Most cultures outside of the US are very family oriented. And so if you're not connecting with the family, you're probably not going to reach the child. So it's really important to do that and find different ways to do that and empower the families with the tools and the resources they need to help their children be successful, not feel successful, but actually be successful. So how can you support the families? Well, the short answer is you build trust, and you build trust by building those relationships. You ensure the families know their rights. And so that's one thing sometimes that kind of falls through the cracks, and it might feel counterproductive, but it really is important to let them know that they have rights, because a lot of times people come in to the country as immigrants, sometimes especially for families who might come in on without documentation. They may not feel like they don't have any rights, but they do. And so we want to make sure that they know that they have a voice, that they know they have rights, and it's our job to make them understand and know what they can do to help support their child. Find out the preferred way to communicate. Sometimes they can't take a phone call because they're at work, or sometimes they don't have access to technology. So find out the way that they can communicate best, and then think outside of the box. It's difficult. It's not an easy thing building relationships with families that have a different schedule than yours. I think that sometimes we feel that, well, they need to fit into our box. Well, no, we need to be able to provide everything that we can to help that family feel supported and help that family know that they have a voice. And so I want to connect you or direct you to Colorín Colorado for families. So you'll see a whole list of articles and supports to help the families know how to read, how to learn at home, specific to their years at school, whether they're preschool, middle school, high school, just success in general, how to use technology, how to access resources for getting into college, all of those kind of things you're going to find here. And so you're saying, well, you know what, if that's all fine and dandy, but if they can't read it, it's really not going to help them. Well, Colorín Colorado thought about that. And they provided, if I can get it to change. I apologize. It's because I have this all open. I have them all open up here. Come on. Well, let's do this then. Let's go back to Colorín Colorado. Go to families. And then go to Espanol. See if that works. Well, in a perfect world, it would open up. Let's do this. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to it. I do want to show you that, but I think I'm going to have to close some tabs before it'll open up. Let's go back real quick. So you can see that you have all kinds of information in there helping your child to learn. And in the toolkit area, you'll also find some information in there. I'm going to go there so you can see exactly what is in that toolkit for the families. But you'll see it gets very specific. So it kind of goes down into specifics on those topics. And then within that, you'll also find videos from experts in the field, videos from authors, anything related to family engagement. You're going to find that here. Let's see if I can find it here. Here's one of the guides in the toolkits. This one's actually for educators, but they also have one for families. We have fact sheets for families and school staff on immigration enforcement. Let's see. This is a great toolkit. This is a great resource right here. Oh, great. Well, that's from the Department of Education. So let's go back. All right, you'll see. Oh, so you'll find books, professional development books as well. You won't find the actual books here, but you'll find the reference to the books. They'll give you the books that they're recommending for the different things. So here are immigrant stories, ELLs at the middle school and high school. And you'll see things by book lists by topic. Book lists by topic are not only for PD, but also for children. You'll find those bilingual books, not only in Spanish, but in different languages as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to see if I can get into the toolkit. All right, here we go. This is what I wanted to show you here. This is a reading tip sheet for parents. So in this section, this is in the resource library. You'll see here, tip sheets for parents. You'll see these tip sheets come in 13 different languages. They come in English and Spanish. It gives you here we go. Arabic, Chinese, Navajo, English, French, Haitian Creole, Hmong, Korean, Portuguese, Russian, Spanish. It's not, I forget how to pronounce that. It's not Tagalong actually. That's and Vietnamese. But you'll find those resources. And let me just open up. Let's see. Let's open up Portuguese. So you'll see the guide. This one's for babies. So it goes all the way back to babies, right? Toddlers. Preschool. Kindergarten. First grade. Second grade. So it's very specific. Third grade. And so you'll see these tip sheets for every grade level, for every level there. Let's go back to it's very hard to find this. All righty. It's up here. All right. So, and we're going to go back to that because I want to point out a couple of other things as we go back to the toolkits and the different features of Colorín Colorado, some of my favorites. But I do want to point out some of the other new things that have happened in Colorín Colorado for those of you who have known it but haven't been in there a while. There's some I've already showed you a couple of amazing things, but I do want to show you a couple more. So these are a series of new videos that they put out. One is called Being Bilingual is a Superpower, it's an activity guide, family literacy at home, and partnering with indigenous families from Latin America. So they've really gone down deep when it comes to literacy and languages. They're not just hitting the major languages, but they really are digging deep into indigenous languages. Because what happens sometimes is that you'll get children, say from South America, and you assume that they speak Spanish, but then they're not understanding the Spanish either. And so the strategies on how to address those discrepancies as well, to make that family to make those families that come from languages that are not well known, so that they can still access the content as well. So I want to go to the superpower. The being bilingual is a superpower. This is just a 3-page little thing that you can print out and give to your parents. I'm sorry, this is a thing that you can share some of these videos with your families, but these are things that you can do to share with your families, planning events for your families. You'll see some of the activities that you can do with families. Goes really deep into the benefits of being bilingual, because you have to also remember that sometimes when immigrant families come here, they don't want to call attention to themselves. They think that they need to be assimilated in, and so they don't want bilingual education. They don't want to be seen as different. And so they may reject or they may waive access to bilingual education. And it's really important for us to not only let the child know that being bilingual is a superpower, that it's important, but also letting the family understand and know that they can celebrate their culture, they can celebrate their language. They don't have to be afraid to continue their language and their traditions and their culture. And that's the whole purpose of this series of being bilingual is a superpower. I actually have a t-shirt that says that. And there's a whole last year at NABE, that was one of the themes. So that's one of the fun things that Colorín Colorado is doing. I'm gonna go back to here. Then there's this literacy at home guide. So you see they put a lot of emphasis and a lot of time into creating these guides for teachers and for families and for the general public. So you'll see this literacy at home. So this is something that you can also share. Again, it's real simple. It's real simple activities that you can do, that you can share with your families to make them feel welcomed and at home. And then we're going to go back here again. Now I'm just going to hit it so you can see the partnering with indigenous families there. Okay. Going back here. And this literature also comes in English and in Spanish as well. So you can get them for your families as well. Okay. All right, so following through, this is just another, I guess you call it an advertisement or another video you'll find in Colorín Colorado around bilingualism being a superpower.
And we're back. The team is looking down the barrel of a 4:55 meeting.
Be bilingual is a superpower, and it will help your child with reading and writing. No matter what languages you speak at home, there are many ways you can help your child learn to read. Here's how to begin. First, speak to your child in your home language. It won't confuse them, and it will help them learn new words and things about the world. Share stories and songs in your home language. Visit your library to get free books in different languages and learn how to download free ebooks on your phone. Listen to your child read out loud. Talk about different words and their meanings. Look through books together. Talk about the pictures. You can also talk about the connections you have with the story. Encourage your child to write every day. They can write grocery lists or text messages. For more ideas, please visit colorincolorado.org/reading.
So you can see that's something that you can send out to your parents. They will, I think they will appreciate knowing that people do appreciate their culture and are that it is something to be valued and appreciated. So here's the Being Bilingual Superpower literature that I just showed you. It has workshop ideas for family events, and then resources that you can give to your families. Okay, now here's one of the most exciting things from Colorín Colorado that just came out this year, and it is a web app. You can actually put Colorín Colorado on your phone on an app, and I will show you. I have it on my phone. But it's not the same as the website. It's very specific. It is designed so that you can go and find the tips very easily and not have to thumb through everything in Colorín Colorado, because I will tell you, there is a lot of stuff in Colorín Colorado. You can spend hours in there. I have already spent many, many, many hours in Colorín Colorado just looking at stuff. And so the website itself, or the app itself, if I can find it, let me see. Put it in here. Is very specific. So you can see mine is right there. It's right there. And it has new to teaching ELLs. So if you're new, you go right, you'll click on the button, and then it has a link to building relationships with students, creating a welcoming work environment. I'm sorry, welcoming classroom. What you need to know about students, tips for veteran ELL teachers. So even those teachers that are veteran teachers can use some support. Building your ELL network. It's important to build those networks to get more clues and more tips on how to work with your ELLs, and learning about the special education population. I haven't even touched on that yet. I haven't even touched on the special populations, but I will in a second. But what I'd like for you to do is to download the app itself. So if you go here, you can either use a QR code. If you have an iPhone, it's going to work. If you have an Android, you may need to use the link here and type that into your browser. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time to go in and put that on your phone so you can explore it yourself. I'll give you about 5 minutes. By the way, you can also reference this or refer this app to your parents because it is in Spanish as well. If you need some help, if you want to put something in the chat, Miss Claudia, can you tell me if there's anybody who's needing help in the chat?
Yes, they need the link to download the app, please.
Okay, here's the link here. You can also go to Colorín Colorado yourself and it will provide you with the link. So let me go to there. Let's see. This is what you're going to find in the app as well. But if we go to Colorín Colorado, let's go there. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in and I'm going to close a bunch of these windows. It's down here. Close these windows so that I wanted to have these windows open so that there would be no problems in getting to them. Okay. Let's see. We did have an issue. It did take a little bit of time. The QR code should be the easiest way to get there. Like I said, if you have an Android, you're probably going to have to use this https://go.colorincolorado.org. So let me do that. That's how you can do it. Put it in my phone, whether that will work. CTPS So whichever web browser you use, you should be able to. Yeah, the web browser should take you right to the QR code rather should take you right to there. Let me see if we go to, I don't want to take it down because I want to give people an opportunity to actually look at it or trying to get in. Sometimes it takes a minute. There it goes. So if you put this in whatever browser you use, whether it's I put mine into Safari. Whether you use Safari or use Google, it should take you right to the app, and then you will have to go and actually download it. So what will happen is you'll go to it, and this right here, make sure you can see me here. You'll see right down here is your download. If you do that, you're gonna have to download it onto your screen top. What do you call it? Your home screen. You download it to your home screen, and it should download as an app. How are we doing? Anybody still having trouble? Dr. Morales, do you see anybody else who needs any additional help?
No, there are no other comments. I did share the link in the chat, so I hope that they were able to get it from there.
Okay, perfect, perfect. If you have trouble getting it actually onto your app, you can I'm gonna put as soon as we get off of this, I'll put my email address in there. You can send me an email, then I'll send you a link. Okay. All right. So I want to take a moment and see if you have any questions about some of the resources and ways that you can use the resource. So if you'll unmute yourself, or I'm going to go ahead and unshare for just a moment so that we can speak here. See if we have any things in the chat. If you have any questions or things that you might want to use in the chat, or you want to unmute yourself so we can talk about some of the ways maybe you used it in the past, or some of the ways that you think you might use this in your classroom.
You know what? I used it once when they had the authors read the stories. I don't know if they still have that section or if it has been updated, but I used to go there and have the author read the book. I think Stella Luna was one of the books, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that's my
and
favorite.
The students really love that part. So that's very useful.
One of the great things that they've done, they've added to Colorín Colorado. In the past, they would have the classroom videos, and then recently they added the lesson plans that go with the classroom videos, which is amazing, because there's so many great books that they reference there, and you get the lesson with it. So that's one of the great things about the website as well. Anything else? Math and science. Okay, let's look. So I'm going to share again. All right. So one of the great things about Colorín Colorado is that you can just go in there and put it in the search bar. And I have a feeling you're going to see a lot of things on STEM. So we have looking at middle school, college readiness. Let's see what we do. Let me put this in here. I put STEM. Here we go. Benchmarking the success of Latinos and Latino students in STEM. So you'll see a full report. So the great thing about Colorín Colorado is the information that's in here is not just put on here willy-nilly. There's been a lot of research that goes into the articles that go onto the website. A lot of researchers are actually connected to Colorín Colorado and do research on behalf of Colorín Colorado. And so you'll see a lot of things, a lot of times they will be linked to another website that has a research-based information. So we'll see here, so there's some other things here in math instruction for ELLs. Looky there, math instruction for ELLs. Support with STEM and hands-on learning, reading, understanding, written math problems. That's always a big one. So why don't we go there and see what it says. How vocabulary can get in the way of solving word problems. So there's some tips there, key benefits, some examples, some suggested activities, upper grades, key terminology. And additional links. So let's see what else. Let's go back. So you can see that's a recent article, 2021. There's some Lego learning there. So like I said, in this website, there is so much. You can spend hours. You find a topic and you can spend it for hours. Let's see. Let me go back and just make sure that Dr. Morales, if you see anything else that anybody wants to look at, just let me know. I'm going to go in and look through. I kind of go through the website, kind of the way that I do it, and go through. I want to go through special populations.
We're okay right now.
Okay, So we see special populations, English language learners, but newcomers, specific types of students, adopted children, long-term ELLs, DACA and Dreamers, gifted and talented. So if we go there, for example, you'll find videos on gifted and talented, and the principal in that video was just beginning to touch on that. You'll see some research reports there, advanced course enrollment and performance among English language learners in Washington State. You'll see some recommended resources, some of them in Spanish, all around gifted and talented. Special education. So you see some of the partners they have, the National Education Association, how to identify needs, special education referral processes, instruction and assessment, and then interviews with the experts. So I wanted to point that out. I also wanted to point out by they have resources by grade. That's easy enough to go to, but I also wanted to point this out. Resources by state. So a lot of this Colorín Colorado was created in Washington, D.C. And so it's addressing the needs of people all over the country. But as you all know, Texas is different. And so it doesn't always fit within our educational system. So that's not a problem because Colorín Colorado has differentiated for every state. And so you'll see that you'll have resources as far as information, legalities, laws, and the different criteria for Texas. So it's specific. A lot of the strategies are going to be the same, right? So that's kind of overall. But when it comes to specific Texas issues, you're going to find this under the Texas ELL resources. Okay. Let's see. Social emotional support. I want to hit on that for a little bit. Best practices for ELLs, social emotional community schools, which is a big tenet of AFT. Health and wellness, multilingual families, community schools. You'll see the video from Dearborn is on there as well as many other videos as well. Not just Dearborn, but all kinds of other schools that are highlighted as well, having to do with social emotional learning. Let's see. Different kinds of programs, bilingual and dual language. There's still resources in here having to do with COVID and ELLs as well. College readiness, which is really important for our families, giving them the resources and the information they need to get their students ready for college. And there's my colleague, Susan LaFond, talking about preparing your students for college.
Teachers can do many things to help students prepare for college. To express the expectation or the possibility.
I apologize. Let's see.
At as young of a level as you have those students. If you have middle school students, start them in 7th grade. If you have elementary, bring it out in kindergarten. If you have them in high school, you don't start in 12th grade when they should be preparing to go to college. You start them in 9th grade, what they could be doing in 9th grade, what they can be doing in 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade when it comes to taking standardized tests, when they can start looking into financial aid options, going to visit colleges, filling out applications, getting recommendations. It really is a how-to and what.
Glenda, I'm not sure if everybody's having trouble, but I can't hear the video well.
Okay. All right, so we'll have to skip that one. We'll have to skip that one. But that is information that you'll be able to read it when you hear it when you get on there. I don't know why that specific video, the others were just fine, but it's low for me too, as a matter of fact. It was low. So that is there. Success programs, special education and ELLs, family outreach, and then you'll see information here for administrators and for paraprofessionals. So even for your administrators, this is a great website for them to come. It basically tells them the law. So you'll find what's good about this is that whenever you go to your administrator and you say, you know, I wanted to implement this strategy because it would be good for our students. And you can go here and find the research behind it. You can print up the article. And that's your proof of your research-based activity. So this is basic teaching strategies. You'll find the ELL strategy library that we went through. So this is basically everything. You can ignore the Common Core, but it's there in case you're interested. Technology and ELLs. So we'll just hit on that for a second. How to do distance learning, technology for the classroom. There really has been an influx of information for technology in here. So you should be able to find a lot of that information in here. Then of course for families, let me see if the Espanol will open up now. Not wanting to open up. I don't know why, but that's okay. So then here's where you're going to find your list of books and authors. So you'll find for every age group that you can think of. So let's go here. Diverse book guide. So you have Asian American, Pacific cultures. So we're not just Spanish culture, but many other cultures as well. And then you'll see some videos from the actual authors in here, which is really amazing. But the easiest way to get to that is to go to the videos, to the video tab, and then you will find meet the author. And hopefully if I click on one of these, you'll be able to hear the author. I want to go to Miss Mora, if I can find her. Oh, I don't see her video anymore. But we can go to Mr. Okay, here we go. One of our old poet laureates. He was a 21st poet laureate. I got to meet him several years ago, thanks to AFT. And you'll find a resource collection there. For him, let's go back. And you should be able to see a video from him. Hopefully this will work.
My mother loved riddles, songs, proverbs, and sayings. And she knew them from her life growing up as a girl in Juarez, Chihuahua, Mexico, and in El Paso, Texas, in the borderlands. And in the borderlands, there's a lot of creative language use. And in those early days of the early 1900s, that's what everybody used if you lived in the barrio, particularly in El Segundo Barrio of El Paso, because it's people talk, you know? It's not academic talk. It's the way the people talk and the way the people learn and the way the people share wisdom in a very kind of informal manner. So as I was growing up, my mother used all those things and said riddles every 5 seconds. And she wanted to say them to me as an only child. She wanted to teach me, just to have fun with me, have fun with me. So she said, fui al mercado, compré bellas, vine a la casa y lloré con ellas. I went to the marketplace, I bought beautifuls, I came home and I cried with them. And ellas y bellas rhyme. Them and beautiful, those two words rhyme in Spanish. So then I would hear rhymes every day, and I would have to figure out what the riddle was about, because she didn't tell me what it was about, because you have to find it. It's a riddle. You have to find the hidden entity, the hidden meaning, and all those amazing things that are very complex, yet sound very simple when you say the riddle.
So that is a beautiful video that you could use for your parents, the different way that they can relate to their students using their own songs, their own poems, because those things transfer over in literacy. So it's important for them to see people like Juan Felipe Herrera, because he was the 21st Poet Laureate of the United States. And so he's a published, well-known, very famous author that can inspire children to become writers and authors. So those are great ways to utilize the Colorín Colorado as well. Okay, and then you can speak to the experts, and I'm gonna have to play one of my favorites. I never want to get out of this without playing my favorite, which is Dr. Pedro Noguera. Hopefully he's still in here. Here he is. He is my educational crush. Yes, I am a nerd and I have an educational crush. But he speaks very eloquently, not only to success, but he's very big on family engagement. And I'd like to play something related to building relationships with him.
Well, for English language learners, in particular recent immigrants, I think the big issues are you need personnel who can communicate with the parents in their language, who understand the culture, who also understand that many immigrant parents are more deferential to schools. They are more likely to not know that they need to be advocates for their children. And particularly if they're working hard, which many immigrants are, and have long hours, don't have the time to be as involved and don't understand the importance of being involved in their child's education. And that's the reason why it's essential that schools engage and hire personnel who do have the language and cultural skills to build relationships with parents. They approach this as organizing of parents, to get parents to understand they have to play a role in supporting their children and supporting that school, and in helping them to understand what a good education is, so they can advocate for their children, which might seem ironic, but there's a healthy tension that you want between parents and schools. You want parents insisting on a good education for their children. When that happens, usually schools perform better. And we see that to be the case in most middle-class communities, where parents are very clear on what they're entitled to, and usually are very clear about how to advocate for their rights. When that happens in immigrant communities, schools improve as well.
So he is very, I'm sorry.
Do this well. A school I work with in Brooklyn.
Okay. So that's just one of them. And I do want to hit the classroom videos, because I want you to see the lesson plans that go with them. So let's hit the classroom videos. And just ignore the Common Core. It's all the same thing. Common Core, antiques are standards. They're the same thing. They're just different. Alrighty, if we do. Let's do this one. Realia. So before I play the video, I want to show you the lesson plan that's connected to this video. So you'll see here, come on. It's not wanting to open for me. We'll play the video.
So raise your hand if you've never had a tortilla before in your life, and none of them raised their hand. Here in New Mexico, that's part of our culture. We eat tortillas. So one interesting aspect was having all of the items displayed for on a table for the realia component. And so one of the items was a metate and a tortillera. So a lot of the kids were unfamiliar with those two items used to make tortillas. So even though they've had tortillas before, they were able to make that connection and have a more memorable experience by being able to touch the metate and understand that that is used to grind the corn. And then also with the tortillera, using that to press the dough, the masa, into making a flat tortilla. So a lot of them had not known what those utensils were used for and didn't know that that's how the tortillas were made.
So what you'll see here, if it would open up, and it'll probably open up. It probably is not opening up because of the framework that I'm in at the moment. But on your own, if you go to the site and you go to videos and classroom videos, you will see the video, but then it'll have the standards, the lesson summary, you can forget the alignment to Common Core, although it is aligned to the standard, right? So it's the same thing. It's the standard is the TEAC. The lesson plans and materials that you'll need for it, the related ELL strategies that are in this lesson plan, the teacher's reflection, and what the experts say. And I am so sad that it didn't. Oh, here we go. That did come up. And this is one of my mentors as well, Christina Robertson. She contributes to this website as well quite a bit. Let's just kind of open it up and see what her reflection was.
Teachers also need to know how to draw on the background knowledge that students bring. They need to, first of all, find out what knowledge the students have before they jump into a concept. Because if they're talking about US history and the students have no prior knowledge of that, the concepts aren't going to sink in. But they may know some of the history of their students' countries, and they may be able to draw on that. Some of the historical components like Independence Days or things like that may be similar to our own history. So drawing on that background knowledge to build from there is very effective.
Okay. So let me see if just by, oh, there we go. It's opening up now. Yay. So you'll see the vocabulary development, cognates that are used, the reading 101 for English language learners. That's some of the strategies used in here. And so what I want to do too is hit this, and it will take us to the reading 101. And this is actually something you can print out as a reference for English language learner strategies. So if we go here, this is actually an article that you can print out if I can get to it. It's a guide actually. It's acting goofy with me because I think it's because of where I'm at. But it will get to an article that you can actually print out. A lot of the information that is in here, you can print those out and use them as a reference. You can give them to your parents. Let's keep going back. Oh, that makes me sad. But a lot of it you can print out. And then especially a lot of the things here, I want to end with the resource library, because there is so much in here that you can print out and give to your parents. You can give to other teachers. So here are the multilingual tips for families, which I've already showed you. This is for educators. This toolkit here You can see the guide there. So this can actually be printed out. And actually AFT does actually print this out as a guide and give them out as a resource. So this is just to kind of help your teachers, so fellow teachers that you might want to give some support to for ELL strategies. All of that is here, as well as being able to document, because that's one of the important things about using strategies for your L's in your classroom, for your EVs in your classroom, is being able to document that you are using them. And so this is a guide for helping to document that and which strategies you are documenting. It also has references to some of the common phrases that you would use in your classroom if you're you really need some help in knowing the language. That's a little resource there that you can use, just some common things. And then these are cognates. Cognates are really important, and they're really easy to use when you are when you're beginning to learn the language. And it's easy for the English language learner to associate the words that they already know with words that are similar in the English language. And this gives you some common ones. Just be careful, because sometimes there's things called false cognates, which means they are words that sound familiar, but they mean something completely different. And one of the most well-known false cognates is embarrassed. If you say you're embarrassed, that means that you've done something and you feel kind of funny or bad about it, right? But embarazada which sounds like it would be embarrassed, but in Spanish that means that you're pregnant. So you don't want to use those interchangeably, because that just will not work. So that's a great guide there for you as well. The strategy library, we already saw that one. There's research reports there for you as well, research by state. There's a blog also that you can join, which gives up-to-date and up to the minute information about the latest things having to do with ELL. So that's and you'll see some contributors to the blog. It are some of the researchers that contribute to Colorín Colorado. So that's a great place to kind of learn. If you're really interested in learning a lot about ELL, this is a place to be blogging, or to blogging to listen to. But you can see there is just tons of information in here. And so if you don't have a whole lot of time and you just want the down and dirty of this, the resource library is a place to go, because that's where you're going to find all of the quick tips and tools. So that is about all I have on Colorín Colorado. There is a monthly newsletter that you can connect to if you sign up for it. That is on the website. You basically just click it and sign up, and you'll get a monthly newsletter about what's going on in Colorín Colorado and all of the latest ELL data that is being put out there, the latest news as far as legal things that are going on, which is going to be really relevant with this new election coming up here, and we'll see what happens. And then there's a social media that you can join to. There is a Facebook page, a Facebook group that you can join. I believe there is Twitter. I'm not on that one, but there's they're connected to Facebook. Yes, ma'am.
There's an inquiry in the chat.
Okay. Let me see. Yes. There very much so is information on SIVES. And let's go there. Students with interrupted formal education. or sometimes also known as SLIFEs, in students with limited or interrupted formal education. So you'll see how to support your students here. I want to make sure that I'm actually answering your question. Yes, it is extremely hard. It's so much better when they come in with some sort of formal education in any other language. But when they come in with no formal education at all, it creates a challenge, especially if they're older students. And so they do address that here quite often because it is probably one of the first things they addressed. So you'll find that information here. And then the blog is something you can probably address that into as well. Let's see. Limited formal education. Oh. And then lots of research-based information. Again, most of the information in here is research-based to some extent. You'll find people who have written articles in here based on research that they have done. But then there's direct links to the actual research. So you'll find that in here as well. See, provides educators with how-to advice on involving English language learners in the school to career programs internship. So these are for the older students. Okay, let's go back. And immigrant students, many of which don't have formal education. So when we talk about SLIFEs, we're usually talking about older students who come in and filling those gaps, especially when they don't have any formal education, getting them filling in that gap in a very short amount of time while they are also learning the new language. So there's two things. You have content that you're dealing with, and you also have the language that you're dealing with. And then on top of that, you're trying to get them ready to exit and go out into society and choose something, some path that would be beneficial to them. So that's a lot of pressure. But there are ways to overcome those challenges. And so that's where these articles will come in to play. I hope that answered your question. We can actually do a whole session on just how to deal with SIFEs and SLIFEs. So I don't want to go into depth in that, but there's lots of articles there for you to look at. And then don't forget also that Share My Lesson has a multitude of information too. And you can put pretty much the same way that you put in your search bar your topic that you want to address. You can do that in Share My Lesson as well. Colorín Colorado is just dedicated to English language learners. So everything is going to be related to English language learners. Whereas Share My Lesson is just a database of lessons and PDs and things like that. So you have two resources through AFT. So we're very, very lucky to have those resources. Anything else? So as far as the applications for translation, I'll be honest, Google has gotten a lot better. In the past, it was horrible, but it has gotten a lot better. It's still not perfect. It's still not great, but it is getting better. And then with the onset of AI, I think there'll be a lot of other resources there. As a matter of fact, if we put AI in the search, I do think that there was some information on AI. Maybe I need to put in artificial intelligence. AI resources for educators. So yeah, you'll find that's one of the topics that have been coming up quite a bit. And if I can put in a plug for AFT's professional development, they've been doing a great job lately of, not lately, but they always have actually. But specifically when it comes to AI guidance and AI resources, they've really done a good job of developing their repertoire of professional development and other resources. So there's a resource there, and I would venture to say that they probably have a lot of that in Share My Lesson as well. Awesome. We do have an AI session next week, as a matter of fact. Okay, well, that's all I have. If anybody doesn't have any other questions, I would encourage you just to go in and play with this. There is so much. There is so much in this website. It is, like I said, I am passionate about this website. I could spend hours in here just watching the videos, but there's so much more to it as well. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this. And I hope you learned something new and can take that back to your classrooms.
Thank you so much, Glenda. I learned a wealth of knowledge because I really haven't been able to like sit and focus on Colorín Colorado. So yeah, I learned a lot. So thank you so much. And as Claudia said in the chat, we have AI training next Wednesday, and we actually will have experts from Microsoft leading this discussion to tell us all the ins and outs of AI and how you can utilize it in your classroom to reduce your workload. So I did attend one in June, and so I highly, highly recommend it. I learned a lot on how to simplify my work that I do here with Texas AFT, and I've actually used several of their tools to help expedite the work that I have to do. And also, if you're not a member of Texas AFT, please go to our website, texasaft.org, and join. I was a member as a classroom teacher, so was Claudia, and Glenda is a current member in Aldine. So yes, we would love to have you and help and get you involved in our professional development program and all the wonderful programs that we have. But with that, I will let you have the rest of your evening back. Claudia will send a follow-up email as she does every week with all the resources that were shared tonight. Then you will receive a separate email from me that will contain your CPE certificate. And make sure you click on the feedback form link that Claudia dropped so that we can use the data that you give us in the feedback to help frame our spring PD series. So with that, everyone, good evening.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Glenda. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Morales. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Glenda. Excellent.
Thank you all for
As
being
always.
here. We
Thank you so much.
appreciate it. Have a great
You're the
evening.
best. Thank you so much.